Okay, so let's get started. So, hello everyone, good evening. Welcome back to the day two of WebDev 101. Just to be clear, I am perfectly audible, visible, and slides are also visible, right?
Yes, Karthik.
Okay, okay. So, going forward, today's topic is Introduction to CSS, and we'll also perform some CSS code labs. So, coming on to today's agenda. So we have five main topics to discuss today. So first of all, we will learn about what is CSS. We'll learn how why do we use CSS and how we can use CSS in our project. After that, we'll see what are CSS selectors and how can we use CSS selectors to write CSS. So we will also see different CSS properties and values during today's class. And once we learn a little about CSS, then we will learn about CSS box model, which is very important to learn. So let's get started with CSS. Okay. So let me quickly show you how and where you can follow up your learnings. So navigate to the GitHub repository, and here you can also see the day three folder in which all the content is placed already. So I will also be giving an assignment today. Let me repeat, I will also be giving an assignment today. So you might need this repository if you want to refer again. And to start the repository, if you like the content, let me just quickly share the link again. Okay. So next thing. So let's get started with first topic, introduction to CSS. Okay. So what is CSS? CSS basically stands for cascading style sheets, and it basically describes how all the HTML elements are to be displayed on the screen. CSS also saves a lot of work, so it can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. So for an example, if you're creating 5 web pages, and you can have only one CSS file for all of the 5 web pages. External style sheets are also are stored in CSS files, and we can also directly attach them to our projects to use that CSS code. So, for an example, I have written CSS for my project, and if you want to use that CSS in your project, then you just need to attach a single file. So that's the flexibility of CSS. And next is CSS syntax. So we have understood what is CSS. So now let's see how we can write our own CSS. So let me tell you the whole process of designing components, web components. So the first and foremost step is to of styling is to identify which elements do you want to style, right? So here the selector. Let me show you using the pointer. Okay, so here we have P as the selector. So we have earlier used P as a paragraph tag, and whenever we want, for an example, if we want to style all the paragraph tags in the index.html, then we need to use P here, which is known as selector. Next, we have the declaration block. So all like everything inside the curly braces is declaration block, and declaration block contains one or more declarations separated by semicolons. So we have written one declaration over here, and if you want to write another one, then we can write using and like differentiating them using semicolons. So here each declaration has two things. It has a property name and it has a value. So the left one is the property, For now, we have color as a property, and it also has values, which is separated by colon. So here we have the value as blue. So this CSS code simply means that we want the font color to be of blue. We can also have multiple CSS declarations as mentioned, and all the declaration blocks are surrounded by curly braces. So this is the syntax for CSS. It looks pretty simple. So when we proceed to the next section, you'll probably find out what we have to do when we write CSS and how we can add that to our project. So let us see why do we use CSS. So I'm sure you all will agree that we all love web pages which are properly structured and properly designed. If the web page is not properly displayed on our phones or website, then we generally get pissed off very quickly. So here CSS plays a major role in designing and setting the layout on the web pages. So CSS makes web pages more appealing, it and it also enhances the user experience. So if you, for an example, if you are building an e-commerce site and there are two buttons, one is buy now button and another is maybe delete from the cart button. So you want the user to click the buy now button, right? So you will make the buy now button more stylish and more attractive, while you may keep the delete from the cart button or remove from the cart button a little less focused. So it also enhances the user experience in that way for users and for businesses too. And we can also have dynamic look for different devices and different screen sizes. So for an example, if we open facebook.com or twitter.com, then it has a different kind of layout and structure on web browser on our PC. But it has a different kind of layout and design on our mobile devices, right? Even if we use the same Google Chrome browser, then also it's having different kind of layout and structure. So this is where majorly CSS is used. Okay, so we have learned enough about what is CSS, why do we use CSS. So let us see how we can actually add CSS to our web projects. So we have three parts. We can use external CSS, internal CSS, and inline CSS. So with external style sheet, you can directly change the look of an entire website just by changing one file. So each HTML page must include a reference. A reference means the path to the external style sheet file inside the link tag. So we have learned about different HTML tags, and link tag is one of them. So inside, and we generally add the link tag inside the head part. We'll also see a demo on how to do all three of this, and at that time you'll also get a more clear idea. Okay, so coming next to internal CSS. So an internal style sheet may be used if, for an example, we have only one single HTML page and it has a unique style. So the internal style can be defined by the style tag. So we have different HTML tags and style tag is one of them. So if we place style tag in our head section of HTML page, then we can write CSS inside that style tag. And and the last one is inline CSS. So if an inline style may be used to apply to a unique style to a single HTML element. So for an example, if we are only creating uh, a button, for an example, let us consider the tech drill uh, button on our slide, the TechDrill div. So here we want the color of the element to be a yellow tint. We also want the border of tech drill button to be a little rounded. So when we want specific unique styles to unique elements, then we can use inline CSS. And it's all about attributes. So yesterday, during our HTML class, we learned about different attributes in HTML. So we can add style attribute to any kind of HTML element. So let us see a quick demo to how to use CSS in our project. Let me just switch my screen sharing and show you how we can do that. Is the new screen visible to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we have opened a new folder in our VS Code. So let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. So now let us first of all create our index.html, which is the first thing we do if we want to create a HTML project. And once we create the HTML file, let us create the base template for HTML. Let us say web dev 101 and d3. Okay. So now what we can do is, first of all, let us see external style sheet. So if we want to create an external style sheet, then we just need to create a new file. We need to use style.css. And here you can also see the three kind of logo. The three is the latest version of CSS, which is CSS3 style, right? But we have not built any kind of relationship between files. So now what we need to do is we need to attach the CSS file inside HTML. So we have linked the external style sheet in our HTML file. We have passed like this is the relationship. So we say that this is a style sheet. Uh, this is not JavaScript, or this is not kind of any other thing. This is style sheet, so that the browser knows what it is. And then we have href, which we discussed yesterday, that it is an HTML attribute when we need to pass any kind of path, right? So we have passed the path. You can also see that it's having web101 hyphen slash styles.css. Okay. So to this is one way to add a style sheet in any HTML project. Now coming to internal CSS, internal style sheet. Okay. So if we have only a single HTML page, and if we want all the CSS in that page itself, then what we need to do is that we just need to use the style HTML tag. So inside this, we can write all the CSS code, and that will work on the web page. And the last thing is inline CSS. So for an example, if we have a h1 tag which says hello everyone. Okay. Now what I want is that I want uh, I want the color of the heading to be of a red color. So what we can do is that we can simply add style attribute. So as we discussed that this is the base tag, and once we add something to the start tag, that is called as an attribute. So here we are adding style to this HTML element. It will only apply to this tag, not to any other h1 tag. Here we can simply say that we want the color to be red. So this is one thing. Here, this is the color is the property, red is the value, and it is differentiated using the semicolon. For an example, if we want to add that I want the background color to be blue, then we can write this using semicolons. We can separate different CSS using semicolons. I hope all these three ways are clear to all of you. Let me know, then we can proceed further. Because see, this is very important, and we are gradually learning. So for example, if you miss learning this part, then you might not be able to write any kind of implement any kind of CSS to your HTML pages. So let me know if all these three things are clear to you. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let us again quickly switch to the presentation. Okay, so coming to the presentation. Now, we also saw CSS selectors during the CSS syntax part. So now let us briefly see what are all the different kinds of CSS selector. Okay, so as I mentioned during the process of styling, that first of all we need to find which HTML elements we want to style. So CSS selectors are used to find all these HTML elements. It could be a single HTML element, or it could be multiple HTML elements. So coming down to which are CSS selectors. So we have four types of different CSS selectors. We have element selector, we have ID selector, we have class selector, and we have universal selector. The proper understanding of CSS selectors is very essential to write CSS code. So if you write HTML, you properly attach your CSS file, you wrote proper CSS code, but if you're not properly attaching the CSS selectors, then it will even not show any kind of error, but it will also not appear, the styling will not appear. So now let us learn each one of them in detail. So CSS element selector. It is it is generally used when we want to select all the HTML elements of a similar type. So when I say all the HTML elements of a similar type, it means that there are 5 paragraphs on one HTML document, and we want to style all 5 of them. If I say headings, then if I have H2, I have 10 H2 on my HTML page, and I want to style all of them, then we will use the H2 CSS element selector. Are you getting it? Here also we have an example. So we have p tag over here as the element selector, and we have text align equals to the text align center. So text align is basically a property, and center is the value. Okay, we'll discuss too many examples today because today we have practical labs. So stay tuned with that. Next, we have CSS ID selector. So do anyone of you remember using ID yesterday? Did anyone notice where we used ID yesterday? Please share your answers in the chat. Correct. Correct. Great. So we used ID to in forms and input fields. So ID is basically when I want an HTML element with a specific identity. It could be compared as our Aadhaar card number. So we all have different unique IDs, right? So when we want that only specific IDs should have some kind of different styling, at, at that time we use ID selector. So we can select element using ID attributes, and there's a rule that ID cannot start with a number, so we should always have a starting a character as a letter or some kind of other type other than a number. So to use CSS ID selector, we need to use the hash symbol, and the ID name should be followed by hash. So for an example, here hash denotes that we are using ID property, ID selector, and here we'll write whatever the ID it is. Okay, I hope you are getting this. Now coming to the next part, CSS class. So class is something which is very important, and it is something which we'll use in mostly each and every HTML element once we start building projects. So its behavior is also similar to CSS ID selector. So whenever we want to style multiple elements, so ID selector was for unique elements, but see, a class selector is majorly for single or multiple elements. We can assign class to any HTML element, and then we can leverage the class attribute to style those elements. So for an example, here we can say that I'm creating a class with the class name red, and I can use that red class name uh, at multiple files, at multiple places in a single file or multiple files. So I can use red in H1 for an example. I'm also using that in a list item, and the CSS of that would be background color equals to red. Getting it? So this is how we can majorly use CSS in our projects, and this is very important to learn because we mostly have different kind of articles, we have different kind of divisions, containers. So class is going to be the thing which you are going to see mostly everywhere. Also, we can add multiple classes to a single HTML element. So for an example, if we have a single H1, then we can add 5, 10 unlimited classes to a single HTML element. Okay, so now coming down to universal selector. So if I want all the elements on the web page to be styled, at that time we use universal selector star. This is different. This is a comment in CSS, but this is star which selects all the elements on the web page. I hope all the CSS selectors are clear to you. Let me know if you want me to repeat again. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so now coming to the most important thing, which is CSS grouping. So whenever you write CSS code, right? So if you want to group a single style to all different kind of CSS selectors, at that time we generally use CSS grouping. So here you might be able to see that we have a ID selector, we have a element selector, and we have a class name. And all these selectors are using a single style. So this is how we generally refactor our CSS code and optimize our code. So if I write this color column light green for all three different types, then it will be, for an example, 15 lines longer, but now it has become 2 3 lines longer. Okay, so this is how we generally refactor and optimize our CSS code. Okay, so if we are clear till now, so let us see some examples of CSS and how actually we can use that in our project. So we'll see one by one what kind of font. Let us see what are the types. So we'll see text color, we'll see background, we'll see alignment, we'll also see borders, we'll see how can we add custom fonts, how can we style the text, and we'll also see how can we have spacings where we learn about margin and padding. So before moving on to that, let me again reiterate this. Let me tell you that CSS is not something which you can learn 100% in a few days. So it's okay if you need to Google when you are building your projects. It's okay if you don't remember all the attributes, and that is the main reason why we are using VS Code and such kind of IDEs. So that will help you write all HTML and CSS codes. There are lots and lots of CSS properties, but for now we are going to check out some basic properties. Okay, sounds good. Let me share my screen. Okay, VS Code is visible to you. Okay, okay. So, I'll zoom in. Okay. So now let me tell you that yesterday we wrote code and I also uploaded the code on GitHub. But let me tell you that today I'll not be writing CSS code. I'll be showing you how to write CSS code. I'll be showing you all the demo. I'll be showing you all the kind of examples. But today I want you to implement HTML and CSS and build a simple web page or any kind of HTML web page. So what you need to do is refer to the GitHub repository if you want. You can also Google something, but create a simple web page. We have also learned about web hosting on our first day. So you can also publish your web page on GitHub repository, and you can also have the URL which can be accessible to everyone on the internet. Okay, sounds exciting, or what are you thinking? Would you be able to do that? Okay, okay, cool. So let's get started. We have covered introduction to CSS. We have covered what is CSS, why do we use ID selector. We have covered all kind of selectors. We have covered what is CSS grouping. And now coming to CSS properties and values. Okay. So as we learned earlier that something which is on left is the property and something which is on the right of CSS code is the value. Okay. So for an example, if I want to color the font, if I want like you can compare this with a word processor. Okay, most of these things will be related to word processor styling and all those kind of styling. So for an example, if you want to change the color of font, then we simply can write color colon blue. Okay, so all these are generally all the inbuilt colors, so you can directly use the color name, or else you can also use the hex value. So colors are defined in different ways. Colors can be defined using color name. They can also be defined using hex value. They can also be defined using RGB. So these are all the different formats of defining colors. So yesterday, if you saw during the input type equals to color, so we had an option to switch the different formats of input color. I hope you remember that. And this is how you can change all the colors. And now moving on to background color and image. So when you want to change the font color, use simply use color. And when you want to change the background color, simply use background color. Here also we can use directly use the color name, or we can also use the hex value or RGB value, HSL value, and different kind of color formats. We can also attach any kind of background image. So if we want to, if we have any kind of image on our server and we want that as the background image, then we just simply need to change the path in this URL. Okay. Okay. So coming to text alignment, you have probably used this earlier, and there are mean four types of text alignment. We have left, we have center, we have right, and we have justified. Center is, for an example, if I'm occupying 50% of the width, then it will be on the center, like everything will be center aligned. And justify is like if we have content, then justify will cover the 100% width of the container. So that's the main difference between center and justify. If you don't know, these are pretty simple, and these are also very meaningful. So it is not something that if you want to align the text, then there's some different kind of property. It's very developer friendly, I would say. Then we have font styling. Okay, so whenever we want some kind of font, use some kind of font. It could be Times New Roman, it could be Verdana, Arial, or it could be sans serif or serif. So all these are different kind of fonts. So for an example, here the priority is given. So for an example, you are opening the web page on your machine, and if your machine is not having Times New Roman font, then it will use the Times font. Okay, and if it is not having Times New Roman and Times font, then it will simply use any kind of serif font. So the priority is from left to right. Okay. Then we have font style equals to normal and italic. So yesterday we used two kind of different tags. We had italic, we had emphasized, but we can also have italic text using CSS. So we can use font style for that. Now we want, for an example, if we want to change the size of the font, then we can directly use font size equals to 32 pixel, and we can also use font size colon to EM. So EM is when we compare EM. So this, for an example, if we are having a standard browser, then the by default font size is going to be 16 pixel, and 16 pixels equals to 1 EM. So for an example, if we are using pixel values, okay, so whenever we, for an example, when we zoom in or when we zoom out, then the 32 pixel will not change. But when we use 2em, that it is relative. So whenever we zoom in or zoom out, the font size will also change. Okay. So are you getting the difference between pixel and em? Pixel is very absolute, it will not change, while EM is something which is relative to the website zooming and zoom out option. Also, we can bold the font. So when, for an example, if you don't want, if our text is not very important and we don't want to use the bold tag, then what we can do is that we can use bold option. And here we also have different kind of bold options. For an example, I don't want it to be too bold and I don't want it to be too normal. So I can say I want 50% bold. So it could be like I just need to write 500 over here, nothing else. Okay. So you can explore all such values in your VS Code. You can also Google that because there are too many values for each and every property. So if I share too many, is too like it will be too much if I share or each one of them. Okay. So now before going to border, let us see what exactly is CSS box model. Okay. Box model is very important in CSS. So, okay, coming down to CSS box model. So, has anyone heard about CSS box model before? Have you read about it or okay? So let me tell you that the term box model is used whenever we are talking about design and layout. And the CSS box model is nothing but a box which wraps around each and every HTML element. So we have in an HTML document, we have all different kind of HTML elements. So each and every HTML element is having a CSS box. It can be represented as a CSS box model. So it majorly contains of four things. It has okay. So it has content. So whatever is displayed on the website, for an example, if we write h1, if we write hello world in an h1, then it will cover the content part. Okay. Then for an example, if we want to add border, for an example, I want to add border to h1 tag to hello world, then we can use the border command. We can use that using border command and add that value. But before that, let me tell you that if we want some space, right? If you want some space between border and content, then we need to use padding. Padding and margin is nothing but it is just to add spacing between HTML elements and it is mainly used for styling. So for an example, let us consider here we have CSS box model, right? So we have, for an example, we have 40 pixel from 40 pixel from left, and we have around 60 to 70 pixels from the top. And I exactly want it to be here, right? So we can style all this kind of web pages using margin and padding. Now, whenever we want generally we know margins, right? So it is something when we want to add spacing outside the border. Okay, it will add a spacing outside the border. It's see, CSS box model is a little difficult to understand when we see it on slides, but it will really make sense when you actually try to build website or implement any kind of styling. So let us quickly see how we can create borders, how we can add padding, and how we can add margin using CSS. Okay, so coming down to border. Now, whenever we want uh, to add border, we need to first of all specify the style of border. So here solid means straight line. We would say full line. We would say it could be dotted, it could be dashed, and there are different kind of styles for border. It could be also zigzag and that kind of thing. And for now, we want the border style to be solid. Then we want the border width to be 1 pixel. So border width is nothing but we want the border, how thick we want the border to be, and border color is nothing but it's simply the color of the border. All these are very specific styles. And for an example, if we don't want to write very descriptively, then we can also use the shorthand property. So we just need to specify a border, and here we can directly write 1 pixel, solid, and red. So the format is border width, border style, and border color. And even in place of color, if you don't want to directly write red, then you can define color using hash value or HSL value and all these kind of different values. Okay. Now coming to margin, we'll see margin and padding in the code part. We can also see how we can check margin and padding in styling of any HTML element of any kind of website. But let us first of all see how we can write margin. So for an example, if I want to add some, for an example, this is the element, and if I want to add this space, this much of space below the element, then we will use margin bottom, and we can define margin bottom with we can define that using pixel, we can define that using percentage, we can also inherit. So for an example, if the parent element is having something, then we can also inherit that. Now first is the auto tag, auto value. So in auto, it is generally it is mainly automatically calculated by the browser. So if we don't want to define any kind of value to that, then we use auto. Then we have pixel. So we can also write pixel. We have pt, we have centimeter, we have em, rm, we have, and all these kind of different kind of formats for styling for distance. I would really request you to explore all these kind of styles, and manually try to see on different elements that how it is working. And we will also see later in this tutorial when we build projects, mini projects. And then we have percentage. So percentage is basically the specific width percentage of the containing element. So for an example, if we have 100 percentage, and I only want 10 percentage of margin around the element, then we can directly use 10%. Inherit, as I mentioned, that it will directly inherit from the parent element, and we can use this kind of format for margin bottom, top, right, and left. It is the same format. And as we saw the shorthand property, right? We can write the CSS in just one line. So we also have that for margin and padding. So for margin, here the format is top, right, bottom, and left. See, we have top, we have right, we have bottom, we have left. So that is how we can directly write four values, and we do not have to write 4 lines of code. So here 4 lines of code is optimized in just one line. And if we have same values for top and bottom, and if we have same values for left and right, then we can use two values. So we can directly write for top, bottom, and we can write for left and right. We can also use single value. So uh, when we want the same kind of spacing or on all the 4 sides, we can directly use one value. And all the same kind of characteristics and functionalities is for padding also. but padding is inside the border while margin is outside the border. So now let us see some kind of example. Let us see for an example, google.com. Okay, so do you remember we discussed about Chrome developer tools during our day one or day two? Do you remember using Chrome developer tools on our day one or day two? Okay, okay. So whenever we want to check any element, then what we need to do is create on like click on this hover this button, and you can inspect any kind of element using this tab. So for an example, let us click on this. Okay, this is basically a div, and here we have a box model, right? We have a box model for each and every element. And okay, so whenever we hover over this, it will show that okay, this is the thing. And for an example, let us add some border. Okay, let us add two. Let us here also. Oops. Okay, let us add two. So let me directly write the code instead. Okay. Now are you able to see the border on this HTML tag? Are you able to see that? A red color border? Okay. So now you can see that here is the content, right? And whatever the space in between the border and content is, that is basically padding. Okay, that is basically padding. So for an example, we might have some pixels, we might have 10 pixels from top, and we might have 40 pixels from left and right. Okay, and for an example, if we want to add margin, if you want to add margin, so see, margin is outside the border. So if we can also increase that, so see, margin is outside the border. So this is the main thing which you need to learn whenever you build websites, because this directly affects the layout and design of each and every HTML element. And you can also inspect that using the box model in Chrome Developer Tools. Okay, I hope it is very clear to all of you. Okay, before before concluding today's session, I quickly want to share media queries. So we discussed about how Facebook or Twitter is having a different kind of layout on our web pages, and how it is having different kind of layout on our mobile phones or any kind of different screen. So for that, we generally use media queries. So for an example, uh, this is the CSS which we are writing, which we are writing for all the types of screen, right? Whenever we write CSS in our CSS file, it is applied to all types of different screen. But for an example, I want a different kind of display on on screens whose screen width is less than 800 pixel. So for an example, I have 1920 into 1080 pixel desktop screen. So whenever my screen, the width of the screen is less than 800 pixel, then I want this CSS to be implemented. Okay. So this is how we can actually create different kind of designs for each and every type of, for an example, iPad is a little bigger than mobile phones, then I want different kind of layout on iPad, and I want different kind of layout on or on our mobile devices. And it's a little painful to create designs for all kind of screens, because see, we have different kind of phones, we have different kinds of screens having different height and weight, and nowadays we also have that foldable kind of phones, right? So it's a little tricky and difficult to write CSS and design perfect layout and structure for all kind of screens. But this is where we use media queries. So here we just need to use @media. We need to define screen, and we want this condition. So the maximum width, if the maximum width of the screen is 800 pixels, then I want this CSS code to be applied. Okay, is responsive design clear to all of you? Okay, so that's the end to today's session. Now, what I want you to do is that create create some kind of HTML, create some kind of HTML web page, and you can use this repository as the reference. And here also we have day 3 content, so you can see all the code, all the content which is on slides here also. So if you want to use all these such properties, then you can directly use that. You can also copy that and do that. Okay, now tomorrow I want all of you to give me a URL tomorrow, and show me what exactly have you done, what exactly you are building using HTML and CSS. And let me tell you that we are learning day by day. Okay, so for example, if you are not practicing today, then tomorrow we are going to build an advanced CSS project, and the day after tomorrow we'll be learning JavaScript. So at that time, you'll be like, what is happening and what's going on? Okay, so for 7 days, I request you to please stay focused and try to practice, and then you can have fun. Okay, so over to JD Jalandhar folks.